Your dog is not anxious because of what happened today. Your dog is anxious because of what you have been carrying for months. Research on long-term cortisol synchrony shows that dogs and their owners share measurable stress hormones across seasons, not just moments. In this video, you will understand exactly how your emotional nervous system becomes your dog's emotional reality. If you want to understand what your dog is really telling you, you are in the right place. Emotional contagion is not a metaphor. It is a documented biological process in which one organism's physiological state, their heart rate, their cortisol levels, their nervous system tone, is transmitted to and replicated in another nearby organism. In humans, we have known about this for decades. You walk into a room where someone is crying, and your chest tightens before they say a single word. You sit next to someone who is laughing, and your face starts to move without permission. What is newer and more remarkable is that this process crosses species lines. Your dog does not just sense that you are upset in some vague intuitive way. Your dog's body chemistry actually shifts in response to yours. The stress hormones in their blood begin to track the stress hormones in your blood over time, not over a few minutes, over weeks, over months. This is the thing that changes the entire conversation about why your dog behaves the way they do. It is not training. It is not breed temperament alone. It is the emotional environment you carry with you everywhere you go, and that your dog lives inside of every single day. Here is where this stops being about your dog and starts being about you. If your dog is a living emotional barometer, and the science says they are, then your dog's chronic emotional state is a readout of yours, not a snapshot, a long exposure photograph, developed over months of shared daily experience. When owners learn this, one of two things tends to happen. Some feel a flash of guilt. They immediately think about their own anxiety, their difficult year, their unresolved stress, and they wonder if they have damaged their dog. The other response is a quieter kind of recognition, a moment of, oh, so that is what is happening. Neither response is the point. The point is that your dog is not broken, and neither are you. What is happening is a deeply natural, ancient biological attunement. The same mechanism that helped our ancestors read each other's fear responses before language existed. Your dog is not judging you. They are reflecting you. Attachment researcher Joseph Topol at Eötvös-Loránd University was among the first to formally demonstrate that domestic dogs form attachment bonds with their owners that mirror the infant caregiver bond in humans. Number 1. The cortisol bridge. In 2019, a research team led by Lena Sundman at Linköping University in Sweden published a study in Scientific Reports that measured cortisol levels in the hair of both dogs and their owners over a full year. Hair cortisol is a long-term stress marker. It captures the average hormonal load over weeks, not minutes. What they found was striking. The cortisol profiles of dogs and owners were significantly synchronized, not just correlated, synchronized in a way that tracked across all 4 seasons and held regardless of the dog's breed or age. Critically, the synchrony was stronger for dogs who spent more time indoors with their owners, not dogs who exercised more with their owners. Which means it is not about shared activity. It is about shared atmosphere, shared emotional climate. What does that mean for you? It means the ambient stress level in your home, the kind you have learned to call normal, the kind you no longer consciously feel, is something your dog has been living inside of for as long as you have shared space. Your nervous system sets the temperature. Number 2. The oxytocin loop. In 2015, neuroscientist Miho Nagasawa and colleagues at Asabu University in Japan published a landmark study in the journal Science. They found that mutual gazing between dogs and their owners triggered an oxytocin feedback loop, the same hormonal system that bonds human mothers and infants. When an owner and dog made prolonged eye contact, both species showed a significant rise in urinary oxytocin. The dog's oxytocin rise then prompted more gaze-seeking behavior, which triggered more oxytocin in the owner, which deepened the bond further. This loop is not available to wolves raised by humans. It is specific to domesticated dogs, the product of tens of thousands of years of coevolution with us. But here is the psychological layer. Your capacity to receive that gaze matters. People who struggle with secure attachment, who find sustained eye contact with other humans uncomfortable, often find the same dynamic plays out with their dogs. How long can you hold your dog's gaze before looking away? That small, quiet moment is a window into how available you are for emotional connection. Not with your dog, with yourself. If that just made you see your relationship with your pet in a completely different way, hit subscribe. We explore the science of the human-pet bond every week and what it reveals about us. All right, let us keep going. Number 3. The nervous system leak. Your nervous system communicates constantly through channels you are not consciously controlling. Your breath rate, the tension in your shoulders, the micro movements of your facial muscles, the pace of your walk. Dogs are exquisitely tuned to all of these signals, far beyond what most owners understand. Researcher Alexandra Horowitz at Barnard College has documented extensively how dogs read human body language with a precision that borders on the uncanny. They notice when your gait changes by a fraction of a second. They respond to variations in your breathing pattern before you have consciously registered them yourself. This is not psychic. This is millions of years of evolution, selecting for organisms that could read their social partners with extraordinary accuracy. And what it means is that when you are anxious but telling yourself you are fine, when you are performing calm while your body is doing something else entirely, your dog is reading the performance and the body. They know the difference. This is the nervous system leak. You cannot hide your actual state from a dog. You can only change it. And that asymmetry, the fact that your dog sees you more clearly than you see yourself in certain moments, is one of the most psychologically useful things about living with one. Number 4. The emotional suppression signal. Here is a pattern that shows up repeatedly in dogs with chronic low-grade anxiety, excessive clinginess, or what trainers call shadow behavior, following the owner from room to room, unable to settle. The owner often describes themselves as calm, steady, not particularly stressed. But chronic emotional suppression, the learned habit of keeping difficult feelings compressed and managed rather than processed, reads in the body as a kind of persistent, low-level activation. The nervous system is not relaxed, it is controlled, and to a dog, those are very different things. A relaxed nervous system has a particular quality: slow breath, loose muscles, even eye contact, unhurried movement. A suppressed nervous system has a different quality entirely: breath held slightly, muscles with a baseline tension, gaze that skims rather than rests, movement that is efficient but not settled. Dogs track these differences with a fidelity that is almost diagnostic. The dog who cannot stop following you around the house may not be codependent. They may be responding to a signal you are not aware you are sending. The question that becomes worth asking is, when did you learn that it was safer to manage your feelings than to feel them? Because whatever your answer is, your dog learned the answer the same day you did. Number 5. The secure base effect. Joseph Topal's work on dog attachment at Aix-Lorraine University drew directly on John Bowlby's attachment theory. Bowlby proposed that children use their primary caregiver as a secure base, a fixed point of safety, from which they can explore the world and to which they return when frightened. Topal's team demonstrated that dogs use their owners in exactly the same way. When an owner is present and emotionally available, not just physically present, but genuinely regulated and present, dogs explore more confidently, recover from startling stimuli faster, and show fewer stress behaviors overall. The owner's nervous system is not just a source of contagion. It is the reference point your dog uses to calibrate whether the world is safe or dangerous. This means something important. The quality of your presence is not just about how you feel. It is about what signal you are broadcasting to an organism that is using you as its primary instrument for reading reality. Owners with anxious attachment styles, those who tend toward hypervigilance, who scan for threats, who find it hard to be truly at ease, often have dogs who also find it difficult to settle in novel environments. This is not coincidence. It is transmission. You did not teach your dog to be anxious, but your nervous system is speaking a language they already understand. Number 6. The repair window. The research on emotional contagion between dogs and owners is not a verdict, it is a map. And the most important thing about a map is that it tells you where you are so you can choose where to go. Here is what the science also shows. The synchrony runs both ways. When owners deliberately practice physiological regulation, slower breathing, conscious muscle release, the kind of parasympathetic activation that genuine calm produces rather than performed calm, their dogs show measurable changes within minutes. Heart rate slows, scanning behavior decreases, shadow behavior reduces. You are not trapped in a loop of transmission. You are in a relationship with a repair window built into it. Every time you choose to genuinely downregulate, not suppress, not perform, but actually move your nervous system toward rest, your dog feels it. Not metaphorically, biochemically. The Nagasawa oxytocin research points toward this as well. The mutual gaze loop that elevates oxytocin in both species is self-reinforcing. Calm begets connection. Connection begets calm. The relationship has a natural trajectory toward co-regulation when both partners are given what they need. Your dog has been waiting in that repair window your whole relationship. The question has never been whether they would meet you there. The question is whether you are ready to show up. So, what do you do with all of this? You start by giving yourself permission to take your dog's emotional state seriously, as data about you. Not as evidence of failure, but as information. If your dog is chronically unsettled, reactive, or anxious, ask yourself not what is wrong with them, but what state you have been living in. Not to assign blame, to get curious. You ask yourself, what is the baseline tension level in my body on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon? When I tell myself I am fine, what does my breath actually look like? When did I learn to treat emotional management as the same thing as emotional health? None of that makes you a bad owner. It makes you human. The same attunement that makes your dog a living emotional readout of your stress also makes them one of the most precise instruments available for understanding yourself. Most people pay significant money to sit in a therapist's office and work backward to those questions. You have a creature in your home who has been answering them for years. The invitation here is not to be perfect. It is to be honest. Your dog does not need you to have everything resolved. They need you to be present to what is actually happening, in you, in them, between you. There is an old question at the heart of why people love dogs as much as they do. Not the practical answer. Companionship, loyalty, routine. The deeper one. Why does the presence of a dog feel like being known? Maybe it is this. A dog does not know how to respond to the version of you that you perform for the world. They only know how to respond to the version that actually exists, the one that shows up in your body, in your breath, in the invisible language of your nervous system that you have been speaking your whole life without knowing anyone was listening. Your dog has been listening, every day, reading that language with a fluency that took tens of thousands of years to develop. And what they have been offering back, in the lean of their body, in the press of their weight against your leg, in the way they follow you to every room, is not just affection. It is reflection. The truest, most patient, most scientifically precise reflection you will ever receive from another living thing. The question is whether you are ready to look at what they are showing you. Thank you for investing your time with us today. Now that you know your dog's chronic emotional state is a long exposure readout of your own nervous system, we are curious, what does your dog's daily emotional baseline tell you about what you have been carrying? Let us know in the comments. New episodes drop every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, so make sure you are subscribed to catch the next one. Until then, decode your dog, decode yourself.